Welcome to Lord Almighty's Top 5 Freshwater Lures of All Time. This list is based off of my own experiences with a multitude of lures that I have fished over the years. Since I never claimed to be a professional fisherman, or even a good one, feel free to take this list with as much skepticism as you feel is necessary. In order to put this list together, I had to establish certain criteria. First, this is a list of the top 5 lures, so live bait is excluded from consideration. Therefore, please consider this before you take to the comments and proclaim, however rightly so, that a minnow on a hook is the best fish catcher of all time. Second, I have excluded flies from this list, mainly for 2 reasons. 1, my fly fishing experience is too limited to truly judge one pattern's effectiveness over another, and 2, a standalone list of the 5 best fly patterns could easily be created. By someone other than me who knows what he's talking about, of course.
Kind of looks like a bug, and I know trout eat bugs, so that's why I picked it.
In choosing which lures to include, I evaluated a few key factors. Can the lure cover a variety of fishing conditions? If a lure is very situation specific, or is only designed to target a small overall part of a body of water, it didn't make this list. Only lures that could be effective in a wide range of water temperature, water clarity, and seasonal variations made the final cut. Can the lure catch multiple species of fish? A weedless frog, for example, may be very effective for catching bass and pickerel, but it is largely ignored by other major species such as walleye, trout, and catfish. The more fish species a lure can catch, the more favorably it was regarded when generating this list. How easy is the lure to use? Can it be fished effectively by anyone at any skill level, or does it require a certain technique? For example, skirted jigs can be used by almost anyone, but their full potential lies in difficult presentations, like pinpoint casts through weed mats into isolated cover and skipping them under docks, niche presentations that are difficult to master. So, now that we've established the rules, let's take a look at my list of the top 5 freshwater lures of all time. Number 5. The swim bait. I will admit that I was slow to recognize the potential of swim baits when they started rising in popularity many years ago. To me, they looked a lot like the shad tail grubs I used as a kid and never really did very well with. But a trip down the upper Delaware River changed my perception of this bait forever. During our float, using the same size and color swim bait the whole time, we proceeded to catch a smallmouth bass, a walleye, a rainbow trout, and a brown trout. Since that day, I have used swim baits in various situations to catch other species still, such as largemouth bass, pickerel, and crappie. It can be fished throughout the water column and on a variety of rigs, making it a very versatile bait. Its baitfish profile will attract fish in clear water, and the thumping action of its tail throws off enough vibration that fish can home in on it in murky water as well. Since that fateful day in the Delaware, I have been happy to make this lure a mainstay in my tackle box. Number 4. The sinking minnow plug. Minnow plugs have been catching fish for decades, so it should come as little surprise that they appear on this list. But you may be curious as to why I chose the sinking minnow plug specifically, omitting the floating and suspending models. The main reason is because the sinking minnow plug can be allowed to go much deeper in the water column than the floating or suspending models, which means it can reach fish in deeper water. It can also be presented to fish in shallow or mid-range depths as well. Since it looks like a ubiquitous prey item, a minnow, it appeals to nearly every species of fish. The lure's action can also be varied, only by changing the retrieve speed. A fast retrieve produces a frantic vibration that appeals to active fish, while a slow retrieve results in a subtle wiggle that can draw strikes from fish in cold water or that are not actively feeding. Straight, stop and go, and erratic retrieves can all prove effective under different circumstances. There's a reason why these lures have been catching fish for decades. They flat out work. Number 3. The spoon. It's amazing to think that with all the advances made in fishing lure design over the years, one of the most effective remains a slab of cut metal with a hook on it. Spoons can be broken down into 2 basic types, cupped versions for casting and trolling, and flat-sided versions for jigging. However, both designs can usually be used interchangeably. Tiny spoons can slay schools of panfish, while multi-ounce versions are many anglers' go-to for giant salmon and muskies. The spoon is at home in all seasons, whether fixed with a weed guard and snaked through vegetation in summer, or sunk to the depths and jigged to tempt suspending winter fish. It's almost the perfect lure. Almost. Its only real limitation is that it is largely a clear water bait. Its heavy reliance on flash to attract fish means that its effectiveness is reduced, though not completely eliminated, as water clarity drops. Still, even with that fault, the spoon is highly deserving of its place on this list. Number 2. The Inline Spinner. Back when a young Lord Almighty was ready to graduate from garden worms suspended under red and white bobbers, one of the first artificial lures I ever tied on was an inline spinner. Despite my inexperience, I had measurable success catching trout and panfish in the nearby streams I fished with my dad. Over the ensuing years, inline spinners have accounted for countless more of my catches, spanning a wide variety of species. There are two main types of inline spinners, both of which have different strengths. One type is constructed with the bait shaft going through one side of the spinner blade. This allows for the blade to turn easier, making this design preferable when using smaller spinners and when fishing at slower speeds. The second type has the spinner blade attached to the shaft via a clevis. This puts the blade's center of rotation farther away from the lure's body, which in turn creates more vibration, a crucial component of fishing murky water or when trying to attract fish from a distance. Both types are incredibly easy to fish, have withstood the test of time, and should always be on hand during any fishing trip. Number 1. The Curly-tail Grub. If I was lost and starving in the wilderness and could only have one lure to catch my dinner, this is the one I would want with me. I can't recall any situation I've encountered where this lure could not catch something. Sunfish, crappie, perch, rock bass, smallmouths, largemouths, trout, walleye, shad, stripers, pickerel, pike, even catfish and carp have all been fooled at some point by a grub on the end of my line. Its effectiveness is no big mystery given its versatility. Light-colored versions imitate minnows and small panfish. Darker-colored versions imitate bottom-dwelling creatures like stonecats, sculpins, and hellgrammites. They can be jigged on the bottom, suspended under a float, Texas-rigged, Carolina-rigged, and even rigged weightless. Crank it, hop it, drag it, troll it. As long as it's in the water, there is literally no wrong way to fish this bait. When it comes to a versatile, easy-to-fish lure that appeals to numerous species of fish, this lure is unparalleled. And that is why, when I absolutely, positively have to catch a fish, this is the lure I use. Every time. So that's the end of my list. How did it stack up with yours? Do you think I was right on the money? Or are you disappointed that you didn't see your favorite lure or lures on the list? Was I a moron for leaving out the Senko? Was my omission of the lipless crankbait unconscionable? Was I crazy for giving the shaft to the beetle spin? Feel free to leave a comment below to let your opinion be heard. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next adventure.